is it that two people who don't speak the same language can still form a deep connection, and yet two people who do speak the same language can completely misunderstand each other?
Intercultural communication is especially important at an international and diverse school like ours. Whether it's switching from English to German mid-sentence, using hand gestures instead of words, or holding back a hug because you're not sure whether your friend prefers a hug, a wave, a nod, or a triple cheek kiss. We've all subconsciously adapted. A typical example is kissing on the cheeks. Germany, Italy, and Greece belong to the countries that kiss twice. The Netherlands, Switzerland, and Russia kiss 3 times. So let's say you're from Germany and are used to 2 kisses. Left, right, done. Then you visit your friend in the Netherlands who's accustomed to 3 kisses. So just as you start pulling away, your friend comes in for a 3rd kiss, leading to an almost kiss on the lips. Let me tell you, this has happened to me once before. Has it ever happened to you? No?
Gestures are a form of nonverbal communication present in all cultures, in which parts of the body, such as the hands or face, are used to portray meaning. They allow us to share several different feelings, like affection, gratitude, or frustration. There's 2 types of gestures, informative and communicative. The informative dichotomy refers to a passive form of gestures and provides information about the speaker rather than what is being said. This includes body posture and general language. To explain this further, we're going to show 2 examples. The first one is where the informative gestures are not in one's favor.
Hi, I was wondering if I could use that piece of paper.
Now we will show the it body language.
Hi, I was wondering whether I could use that piece of paper.
Do you see the difference? The latter exudes a strong sense of self-confidence with a steady tone and a firm posture.
On the other hand, there are the communicative gestures, which reflect a person's thoughts, often the unspoken thoughts, and are carried out by the speaker to intensify the effect of what they're trying to convey. Everyone here probably uses the thumbs up sign to indicate that something is going well. This is common in most European and American cultures. However, that same gesture is seen as an insult in other countries like Australia, Greece, and parts of the Middle East. In these countries, this gesture can be seen as a middle finger. Same gesture, different meaning.
Gestures can also serve as a form of respect. That Y is a greeting in Thailand, in which a person slightly bows their head with their palms pressed together in a prayer-like stance, and is used to indicate respect. Similarly, there is the gesture of hand kissing in Turkey, which conveys love, respect, and loyalty, and is done by planting a kiss on the hand and then touching it to the forehead.
Another thing to pay attention to in connection with intercultural communication is the style in which we communicate. We classified these into 2 categories: direct communication and indirect communication. Direct communication is, as the word implies, when we express our opinions, desires, and wants directly with one another. This is usually in the form of speech, but can also occur when we text with our friends or write to our teachers. The defining trait of direct communication is that what we say is exactly what we want to communicate. In contrast, we can also classify our style of communication into that of indirect communication. This is when we, instead of conveying our meaning outright, express our meaning non-verbally using body language or verbally with the help of context clues or tone.
Now we can look at these styles of communication in the context of intercultural communication. The preferred style of communication varies from culture to culture, depending on that place's cultural norms and values. We can see this manifested in the difference between the relationships between students and teachers in different parts of the world. And at an international school, being able to pick up on these differences is an important way of understanding each other's cultures, helping both build connection and community.
When communicating directly, student-teacher dynamics can best be understood by how we address one another. Usually, honorifics are used to address teachers, like, "How are you, Mr.?" or "How are you, Mrs.?" This is how we do it here. However, some countries do this differently to convey more or less of a hierarchy. In England, most students address their teachers with sir or madam, and teachers call their students by their last names. In the Netherlands, on the other hand, more than half of the students call their teachers by their first names.
Indirect communication at school is best exemplified by the physical distance that exists between students and teachers. In Germany, the USA, and France, physical contact between teachers and students is generally discouraged to maintain a respectful and professional environment. In countries like Finland, hugs and pats on the back from teachers are encouraged because they create and foster a trustworthy and comfortable environment in the classroom.
While both forms of communication are valid, there lies a key difference in the fact that we require the knowledge of a language for direct communication. Imagine this, you're a new student in Germany, and the only things you can say are Hallo, Dankeschön, and Scheiße. I'm sure many of you don't even have to imagine this. Isn't it then easier to pick up on visual cues, to understand relationship and meaning? This is why indirect communication is so powerful. It's because we don't require an in-depth knowledge of a place's language, something that can take months, even years to learn. It can be understood across language barriers and therefore reach a much larger audience, which can bridge borders and foster relationships.
The minute changes in the way that we express ourselves might seem minor, but they're very important. They are what allow a student from Egypt and a student from Japan to be friends and feel connected, creating a sense of unity in our school community and strengthening our bonds. So, when communicating, make sure to keep in mind the aspect of communication that we just discussed. Being more aware of how we communicate with each other, especially when we come from such different cultures, can help us understand each other on a deeper level and help bridge the gap that these days seems to be getting larger and larger.
Thank you.